The evening sky slowly darkens above the northern sea. The last light of day lingers along the horizon, stretching across calm water that gently rocks beneath wooden ships. Far from the noise of battle stories and famous kings, another world quietly unfolds here. It is a world of ordinary people. Merchants, fishermen, craftsmen, farmers, travelers carrying goods from one distant shore to another. Tonight, we move softly into their lives. The air is cool. The wind smells faintly of salt and wet wood. Small waves tap against weathered hulls. Somewhere nearby, a rope creaks as a ship settles in the harbor for the night. The Viking trade routes connect many places across the north. They reach across cold seas, winding rivers, distant forests, and bustling market towns. Yet most people who travel these routes are not warriors. They are people trying to earn a living. They are families hoping for good harvests. They are traders carrying cloth, honey, grain, furs, and countless ordinary goods from one settlement to another. As darkness settles over the harbor, a merchant rests beside a small fire. His day began long before sunrise. Earlier that morning, pale light appeared across the eastern sky while mist floated above the water. The harbor was quiet then. Most homes were still dark. Only a few early workers moved through the shadows. The merchant rose from a simple bed made from straw and wool blankets. The room was small and cool. Smoke from last night's fire still lingered among the wooden beams overhead. He dressed slowly. Thick wool clothing protected him from the northern chill. Leather shoes covered his feet. Outside, the ground was damp with dew. Nearby, his wife had already begun preparing food for the day. A clay pot warmed above the fire. The smell of porridge slowly filled the room. Simple meals were common. Grain, bread, fish, and dairy products formed much of daily life. Food needed to be practical. Travel demanded energy. The family ate quietly. There was no rush. The rhythm of daily life often followed the sun, the weather, and the seasons. People understood that long journeys could not be hurried. Wind and water would decide much of the schedule. After breakfast, the merchant stepped outside. The settlement was beginning to wake. Smoke rose from many rooftops. Dogs wandered between buildings. A blacksmith's workshop already glowed with the first signs of work. Somewhere nearby, a child laughed briefly before disappearing inside another house. The harbor itself slowly came alive. Workers carried bundles toward waiting ships. Sailors checked ropes and wooden planks. Traders counted goods one final time before departure. The merchant's vessel was not large. Most trading ships were practical working boats. Their crews knew every board, every knot, every sound made by the vessel during changing weather. Before loading began, the merchant carefully inspected his cargo. Bundles of cloth sat beside barrels of preserved fish. Small containers held beads and crafted goods. Animal furs were stacked neatly nearby. Every item represented weeks or months of labor by someone else. A weaver had spent long hours creating cloth. A fisherman had worked through cold mornings to fill barrels. A trapper had walked through forests searching for valuable pelts. Trade connected all of them. As the sun climbed higher, activity increased throughout the harbor. Voices drifted across the water. Wood knocked against wood. Gulls circled overhead. Yet even during busy moments, there remained a certain calm. People understood these routines. Most had repeated them many times before. Eventually the cargo was loaded. The ship eased away from shore. Water quietly parted along the hull. The harbor slowly shrank behind them. Ahead lay a journey stretching across sea and river routes that connected distant communities throughout the Viking world. The merchant settled onto a bench near the center of the vessel. There would be many hours of travel. The sea remained calm that day. Gentle waves rolled beneath the ship. Clouds drifted lazily overhead. Sailors adjusted the sail whenever the wind shifted slightly. Travel often involved long periods of waiting. Modern minds sometimes imagine constant action, but much of historical life moved slowly. Very slowly. Hours passed with little change. The merchant watched seabirds glide above the water. He listened to the steady splash of waves. He shared simple conversation with others aboard the vessel. Some travelers carried goods. Others carried news. Information moved along trade routes just as surely as merchandise. Stories from distant settlements traveled from person to person. News of harvests, weather conditions, marriages, and local events spread gradually across the network of communities. As afternoon arrived, the crew shared another meal. Bread was passed around. Dried fish followed. Water and ale helped wash everything down. No one expected luxury. The goal was simply to remain strong enough for the journey. Far to the east, rivers offered another important path through the Viking trading world. Many merchants eventually left the sea behind and traveled inland. There, broad rivers became highways connecting forests, villages, and distant markets. The water flowed quietly beneath overhanging trees. Morning mist often hovered above the surface. Birdsong echoed from both banks. Along these rivers, travelers encountered entirely different landscapes. Dense forests stretched across great distances. Small settlements appeared unexpectedly among the trees. Farmers worked fields close to the water's edge. Fishing boats drifted near shore. Life moved at its own patient pace. In one riverside village, a family begins another ordinary day. The father walks toward his fishing nets before sunrise. The mother prepares bread near the fire. Children help with chores before the day's work fully begins. Their lives are connected to the trade routes even if they rarely travel far themselves. Merchants passing through occasionally stop here. Goods arrive from distant places. News arrives too. Sometimes a traveler tells stories of lands far beyond the horizon. The children listen carefully. Such stories can seem almost magical. Yet for the travelers themselves, those distant places are simply part of everyday work. As seasons pass, trade continues. Summer often brings increased movement. Warmer weather makes travel easier. Harbors become crowded. Market towns fill with visitors. Ships arrive carrying unfamiliar languages and goods from many directions. One such market town rests beside a broad river. As dawn approaches, its streets slowly awaken. Mist lingers between buildings. Wooden walkways remain damp from the night air. A baker opens his door. Warm aromas soon drift into the street. Nearby, craftsmen begin preparing their workshops. A woodcarver examines unfinished pieces. A metal worker organizes tools. A leather worker checks materials waiting for repair or sale. Each person depends upon customers. Many customers arrive through trade. By mid-morning, activity spreads throughout the town. Visitors examine goods displayed on tables. Merchants negotiate prices. Children weave between adults carrying baskets and supplies. Animals add their own sounds to the busy scene. Yet beneath all this movement lies routine. Most people are not seeking adventure. They are simply working. They are trying to feed families. They are paying debts. They are preparing for winter. They are repairing homes. They are continuing the countless tasks that shape ordinary life. Near the riverbank, a boat arrives carrying several merchants. Their clothing shows signs of long travel. Dust covers boots. The weather has left marks upon faces and hands. Still, their arrival attracts interest. New goods always do. Crates are unloaded carefully. Bundles change hands. Measurements are checked. Agreements are reached. Trade requires trust. Over many years, relationships develop between merchants who meet again and again along these routes. Familiar faces become welcome sights. People remember fairness. They remember honesty. They remember kindness shown during difficult journeys. As afternoon slowly unfolds, sunlight reflects from the river's surface. The market settles into a comfortable rhythm. Some visitors prepare to leave. Others continue browsing. Workers pause briefly for food. The smell of cooking drifts through the air. Stew simmers inside homes. Fresh bread cools on wooden shelves. Fish cooks above open fires. Simple meals provide comfort after long hours of labor. The merchant from the harbor eventually finds a quiet place to sit. His work for the day is nearly complete. Around him, conversations rise and fall like distant waves. People discuss prices. They discuss weather. They discuss family matters. Ordinary topics fill the afternoon. Nothing dramatic happens. Nothing extraordinary is required. Life itself provides enough detail. As evening approaches, shadows lengthen across the town. The market gradually quiets. Visitors return home. Boats settle beside docks. Workshop doors close. The sounds of labor slowly fade away. Warm light begins appearing inside windows. Families gather for supper. The merchant joins several companions near a hearth. The room glows softly. Firelight flickers across wooden walls. Outside, darkness spreads across the river. Inside, tired travelers eat slowly and rest aching muscles. Tomorrow will bring another journey. Another market. Another stretch of water. Another ordinary day along the trade routes of the Viking world. For now, there is only warmth. There is only the gentle crackle of firewood. There is only the comfort of shelter after travel. And beyond the walls, beneath countless stars, rivers continue their quiet movement through forests and valleys, carrying reflections of moonlight toward distant settlements where other families prepare for sleep, while the ancient trade routes rest peacefully beneath the calm northern night. The night deepens over the river. The market town has grown quiet now. Only a few lights remain visible through small windows. Most fires have settled into soft orange glows. The voices that filled the streets during the day have faded into silence. Outside, the river continues its patient journey. Moonlight rests upon the dark water. Small ripples carry silver reflections downstream. Somewhere far across the opposite bank, an owl calls once and then grows silent again. Inside the merchant's lodging house, travelers sleep close together beneath wool blankets. The day has left its mark on every muscle. Hands that spent hours lifting cargo now rest peacefully. Feet that walked muddy roads are finally still. The steady rhythm of breathing fills the room. Travel was tiring work. Many journeys lasted weeks. Some lasted months. A merchant might spend long stretches of time away from home. Seasons could change before he returned to the harbor where his family waited. Yet this life also brought familiar routines. Every river crossing had its own rhythm. Every market town had its own sounds. Every harbor smelled slightly different depending on the wind, the weather, and the goods arriving from distant places. Long before dawn, while darkness still covers the town, one traveler slowly opens his eyes. The room remains quiet. For a moment he listens to the fire settling into ash. Then he rises carefully so he does not disturb the others. Outside, the air feels cool against his face. Mist drifts low across the river. The world seems suspended between night and morning. This hour belongs to workers. It belongs to fishermen preparing their boats. It belongs to bakers warming their ovens. It belongs to the countless ordinary people whose labor begins before sunrise. Near the riverbank, a fisherman unties a rope from a wooden post. His boat shifts gently with the current. He moves quietly through familiar motions. The nets were checked yesterday. The boat was repaired last week. Everything is ready. Soon he pushes away from shore. The vessel glides smoothly through pale fog. Water makes almost no sound. Only the soft splash of an oar breaks the stillness. Fishing remains one of the most important parts of life throughout many northern settlements. Fish provide food during every season. Fresh fish can be eaten immediately. Others are preserved through drying, smoking, or salting. These preserved supplies often travel great distances through trading networks. Some of the fish caught this morning may eventually reach markets hundreds of miles away. For now, however, the fisherman thinks only about the day ahead. He watches the water carefully. He knows this river well. He understands its moods. He knows where fish gather during warm weather and where they move when temperatures change. Knowledge like this is valuable. It cannot be purchased. It is learned slowly through years of observation. Back in the town, signs of morning begin to appear. A faint glow emerges in the eastern sky. The darkness softens. Roosters call from nearby yards. Smoke rises from the first chimneys. The baker has already been awake for some time. Inside his workshop, warmth fills the air. Large wooden tables stand ready for use. Sacks of grain rest against the walls. The baker's hands move with practiced confidence. He has repeated these actions thousands of times. Water. Flour. Careful mixing. Patient waiting. The dough slowly takes shape. Bread is one of the foundations of daily life. Almost everyone depends upon it. Farmers depend upon it. Merchants depend upon it. Children depend upon it. Travelers often carry loaves during long journeys. A good baker serves an entire community. As the first bread enters the oven, its aroma gradually spreads through nearby streets. People notice. Even before they see the bakery, they smell it. Warm bread has a way of making a town feel awake. The sky brightens further. Morning arrives. Doors open throughout the settlement. Families begin their daily routines. Children fetch water. Adults prepare tools. Animals are fed. Work begins again. Near the docks, several merchants gather beside their boats. The day promises favorable weather. Light winds ripple the river's surface. Clouds drift slowly overhead. Today many travelers will continue their journeys. One merchant plans to travel farther inland. His cargo includes cloth woven in distant settlements near the sea. The fabric is carefully folded and protected from moisture. Such goods are valuable because producing them requires skill, patience, and time. The weaving itself often takes place inside homes. In many villages, women spend long hours working at looms. The process begins with raw materials. Wool must be cleaned. Fibers must be prepared. Thread must be spun. Only then can weaving begin. The work is repetitive. Patient. Steady. The rhythm of the loom becomes part of daily life. Hours pass as thread crosses thread. Patterns slowly emerge. The finished cloth may eventually travel through many hands before reaching its final owner. A weaver may never know where her work ultimately arrives. Perhaps a trader carries it across rivers. Perhaps it reaches a market near a distant coastline. Perhaps it becomes part of someone's winter clothing far from where it was created. Trade routes quietly connect countless lives in this way. The merchant boards his vessel. The boat pushes away from shore. Soon the town begins to disappear behind him. Ahead lies another stretch of river. Tall trees line both banks. Their reflections shimmer gently upon the water. The journey feels peaceful. Yet travel always requires attention. Shallow areas can damage a boat. Changing weather can slow progress. Unexpected obstacles occasionally appear along the route. Experience matters. The crew watches carefully. They know how quickly conditions can change. Still, today remains calm. Birds move through the forest canopy. Sunlight filters between branches. The river bends gradually through the landscape. Hours pass almost unnoticed. By midday, the sun stands high overhead. The air grows warmer. The travelers stop beside a small settlement. Only a handful of homes stand near the shore. Smoke rises lazily into the sky. Children notice the arriving boat first. Soon several adults emerge as well. Visitors are not uncommon here. The river brings movement throughout the year. Goods are exchanged. News is shared. Simple conversations connect communities separated by long distances. The merchant unloads several items. In return, he acquires furs collected during the previous winter. The exchange takes place without hurry. People inspect goods carefully. Questions are asked. Agreements are reached. Patience remains an important part of trade. There is little value in rushing. Nearby, an elderly man sits outside his home repairing a wooden tool. His hands move slowly now. Age has reduced their speed but not their skill. He pauses occasionally to watch the visitors. Perhaps he remembers his own travels from many years ago. Perhaps he simply enjoys observing the river's activity. Either way, the scene feels familiar. Generations have watched similar arrivals and departures. The river has carried merchants long before these children were born. It will continue carrying them long after the current generation is gone. Afternoon drifts forward. The merchant's boat resumes its journey. The settlement gradually disappears among the trees. The river widens. The current slows. The world settles into quiet movement once more. On board, some travelers rest. Others perform small tasks. Equipment is checked. Supplies are counted. Minor repairs are completed. Even during peaceful journeys, work never fully disappears. Everything requires maintenance. Wood swells and shrinks with changing weather. Ropes wear down. Tools become dull. A great deal of historical labor involves simply keeping things functional. Throughout the Viking world, craftsmen spend much of their lives repairing rather than creating. A broken handle must be replaced. A damaged boat plank must be repaired. A worn shoe must be mended. These small acts of maintenance quietly support entire communities. Without them, daily life becomes much harder. As evening approaches, the travelers begin searching for a place to stop for the night. Few people wish to travel after dark if it can be avoided. Night introduces uncertainty. It is easier to navigate while daylight remains. Eventually they choose a sheltered stretch of shoreline. The boat is secured. Supplies are unloaded. A small fire is prepared. The familiar evening routine begins. One traveler gathers wood. Another fetches water. Food is prepared. The simple cooperation feels natural. Everyone understands their role. The meal tonight consists of bread, dried fish, and a thick stew prepared in an iron pot. The smell rises into the cool evening air. After a full day of travel, even modest food feels satisfying. The crew eats slowly. Conversation drifts between practical topics. River conditions. Market prices. Weather patterns. Family news remembered from home. Nothing urgent. Nothing dramatic. Only the ordinary concerns that occupy most lives. Darkness gradually settles around the camp. The forest grows quiet. Stars appear one by one above the trees. The fire becomes the brightest thing in the landscape. Its warm light flickers across tired faces. Some travelers stare into the flames. Others simply enjoy the chance to rest. The merchant leans back against a bundle of cargo. His body feels heavy with fatigue. The gentle sounds of the river drip through the night. Water moving past stones. Leaves shifting softly in the breeze. The distant call of a night bird. These sounds accompany countless travelers throughout history. They are the sounds of movement and rest existing together. Tomorrow another town may appear around the next bend in the river. Another exchange of goods may take place. Another day of steady labor will unfold. For now, however, there is only the quiet shoreline. Only the warm fire. only the slow current moving through darkness beneath the stars. And as the travelers settle beneath blankets and cloaks, the ancient trade route continues its endless journey through forests, valleys, and distant settlements, carrying people, goods, and stories through the calm northern night. The river remains dark for a long time after the travelers fall asleep. The fire slowly settles into glowing embers. A few sparks rise into the night air and disappear among the stars. The forest stands quietly around the small camp. Tall trees sway gently in the breeze. Their branches whisper softly above the sleeping travelers. The merchant sleeps deeply. His body welcomes the rest. Travel demands much from a person. Long hours of sitting on hard wooden benches. Repeated lifting of cargo. Constant attention to weather, water, and changing conditions. Even during peaceful journeys, fatigue slowly gathers. The night passes in silence. Then, far away in the eastern sky, darkness begins to loosen its hold. At first the change is almost impossible to notice. A faint gray light appears above the distant horizon. The stars slowly fade. Mist forms above the water. The river seems to breathe beneath the cool morning air. One by one, the travelers wake. Blankets are folded. Supplies are checked. The familiar routine returns. Breakfast is simple. A piece of bread. A small portion of dried fish. Water collected the evening before. No one expects a feast. Food serves a practical purpose. It prepares the body for another day. As the first sunlight reaches the tops of the trees, the boat is pushed back into the river. The shoreline slowly drifts away. Ahead, the water curves through another long stretch of forest. The morning feels peaceful. Birds move between branches overhead. Sunlight filters through leaves and dances across the river's surface. The oars dip quietly into the water. Each movement feels measured and steady. Hours pass. The travelers continue deeper inland. The sea now feels far away. Here, rivers become the true roads of the north. They connect distant communities that might otherwise remain isolated from one another. A merchant traveling these waterways gradually becomes familiar with many places. Not because they are famous. Not because they are large. But because they provide shelter, supplies, and opportunities to trade. A bend in the river. A cluster of houses. A small dock built from rough timber. Such places become important landmarks. By late morning, another settlement appears ahead. Smoke rises above the trees. Several buildings stand near the shoreline. A few boats rest beside a wooden landing area. The settlement is not large. Perhaps only a few dozen families live here. Yet life is busy. As the travelers approach, they can already see people beginning their work. A woman carries water from the river. Two young boys gather firewood. An older man repairs a fishing net outside his home. Nearby, a dog stretches lazily in the sun. The boat arrives. Greetings are exchanged. News travels quickly in such places. Visitors often bring information from distant communities. The arrival of merchants offers a brief connection to the wider world. The traders step ashore. Their legs feel slightly unsteady after hours on the water. This sensation is familiar. Many travelers experience it after long journeys by boat. The ground feels different beneath their feet. More solid. More still. Soon business begins. Goods are carefully unpacked. Cloth is displayed. Metal tools are examined. Small decorative items catch the attention of local families. Trade takes time. People ask questions. They inspect craftsmanship. They compare possibilities. Nothing is rushed. Nearby, a blacksmith works inside a modest workshop. The steady ringing of hammer against metal drifts through the settlement. The sound rises and falls with a slow rhythm. The blacksmith's face shines with sweat despite the cool day. The fire burns hot. Very hot. Each tool requires careful attention. Iron is valuable. Mistakes can be costly. The blacksmith knows this well. His hands carry years of experience. He understands exactly when metal is ready to shape. He knows how different temperatures affect the final result. The knowledge comes from repetition. From countless days spent beside the forge. Trade routes help support craftsmen like him. Raw materials sometimes arrive from distant regions. Finished tools may later travel elsewhere. Every object carries part of a longer story. A simple knife may pass through many hands before reaching its owner. Iron mined in one place. Forged in another. Sold in a market far away. Used daily by someone who never meets the people responsible for its creation. Such connections quietly link communities across great distances. The day grows warmer. Sunlight fills the settlement. Children chase one another between buildings. Women hang clothing to dry. A fisherman returns with his morning catch. Several silver fish glisten in the light. The smell of cooking begins to drip through the air. Lunch approaches. The travelers are invited to share a meal. Hospitality matters along these routes. A warm meal and a place to rest can make a difficult journey much easier. Inside one home, a pot hangs above the fire. Stew simmers slowly. Bread rests upon a wooden table. The room smells of smoke, herbs, and freshly baked food. The walls are built from timber. The roof is covered with layers designed to keep out rain and cold weather. Light enters through a small opening. The atmosphere feels warm and welcoming. The merchant sits quietly and eats. His thoughts drift toward home. Many travelers experience this feeling. During long journeys, familiar memories often appear unexpectedly. A favorite chair near the hearth. The sound of family members speaking together. The sight of a harbor at sunrise. Small details become precious when far away. Yet there is comfort in routine. The road, or in this case, the river, creates its own kind of familiarity. The merchant knows what tomorrow will probably bring. More travel. More work. More ordinary moments. There is something reassuring about that predictability. After the meal, preparations begin once again. The boat must continue. Summer is precious. Weather conditions remain favorable. Every day matters. Cargo is secured. Farewells are exchanged. The settlement gradually recedes behind them. The river stretches onward. The afternoon unfolds slowly. Clouds drift across the sky. The current remains gentle. The travelers settle into a comfortable rhythm. Some watch the shoreline. Others rest quietly. One sailor repairs a section of rope. Another sharpens a tool using a smooth stone. Even during calm periods, useful tasks fill the hours. A life of travel rarely allows complete idleness. Farther downstream, the landscape begins to change. The forest opens slightly. Small fields appear near the riverbanks. Signs of farming become more common. This region supports many families whose lives revolve around agriculture. The growing season is important. Every harvest carries enormous significance. A poor harvest can create hardship throughout the winter. A successful harvest brings relief. In one field, farmers work beneath the afternoon sun. Their movements are steady and deliberate. The labor is demanding. Fields must be maintained. Weeds removed. Soil prepared. Tools repaired. The work never fully ends. Even after crops are harvested, preparation for the next season begins. The merchant watches them as the boat passes. For a few moments, their worlds intersect. Then distance separates them once again. The farmers continue their labor. The boat continues its journey. The river quietly connects them both. As evening approaches, shadows lengthen across the water. The light becomes softer. Golden reflections shimmer beneath the boat. Birds begin returning toward their nesting places. The day slowly prepares for rest. Ahead, another small trading post appears near the shoreline. This place serves travelers moving between larger settlements. It offers food, shelter, and opportunities to exchange goods. The buildings are simple, practical, built to withstand years of changing weather. Several boats are already moored nearby. Their crews have reached the same conclusion. This is a good place to stop for the night. The merchant and his companions guide their vessel toward shore. Ropes are secured. Cargo remains safely covered. The workday draws to a close. Nearby, other travelers prepare evening meals. The smells drift through the cool air. Fish cooking over open flames. Fresh bread warming beside the fire. Stew bubbling gently in iron pots. Voices remain calm and relaxed. People speak quietly after a long day. Fatigue softens conversations. The need for rest grows stronger. The merchant finds a place near the water's edge. He sits alone for a few moments. The river reflects the colors of sunset. Orange, gold, fading blue. The scene feels timeless. Generations before him watched similar sunsets. Generations after him will do the same. The river remains. The seasons continue. The daily work of ordinary people carries on. Darkness gradually settles over the trading post. One by one, fires become the center of small circles of light. Beyond them lies shadow. Beyond the shadow lies the quiet northern landscape. The merchant wraps himself in a wool blanket. Nearby, other travelers do the same. The sounds of evening slowly fade. A final conversation ends. A last log shifts within the fire. The river moves steadily through the darkness. The stars emerge overhead. And beneath that vast sky, among forests, waterways, and distant settlements, another peaceful night settles across the Viking trade routes, while tired workers, merchants, fishermen, and travelers drift gently into sleep beside the flowing water. The river moves through the night without ever stopping. While the travelers sleep beside the trading post, the current continues its quiet journey between dark banks and silent forests. Moonlight glides across the surface. Small ripples drift around half-submerged branches. Somewhere far downstream, water passes over smooth stones, creating a soft and steady sound that blends into the darkness. The sleeping camp remains still. A few horses shift occasionally near their tethering posts. A dog lifts its head for a moment, listens to the night, and then settles again. The fires have become low beds of glowing coals. Their warmth lingers close to the ground. The merchant sleeps deeply. His dreams are simple and unclear. Fragments of home. Glimpses of familiar harbors. The faces of people he knows. The mind often wanders through such places after long days of travel. Hours pass. The stars slowly turn overhead. Then, little by little, another morning begins. The eastern sky grows pale. Mist rises from the river. The world seems covered in a soft gray veil. For a while, everything feels suspended between night and day. This is one of the quietest moments along any trade route. Most people are still asleep. Most fires are still cold. Even the birds remain silent. Then the first sounds begin. A rooster calls from somewhere near the trading post. A horse snorts softly. Footsteps creak across a wooden dock. The day awakens. One traveler rises and stretches. Another adds wood to a fire. Soon thin columns of smoke begin climbing into the morning air. Breakfast preparations start almost immediately. The routine rarely changes. Food must be eaten. Supplies must be checked. Journeys must continue. The merchant warms his hands beside the fire. The air feels cool against his face. He watches steam rise from a simple pot. Nearby, someone slices bread. Another traveler shares dried fish from a cloth bundle. The meal is quiet. Many people are still waking. Their thoughts move slowly. The river reflects the growing light. Its surface appears silver beneath the morning sky. The day promises calm weather. This is welcome news. Travel becomes much easier when the wind remains gentle and the water stays predictable. Soon the boats prepare for departure. Ropes are untied. Cargo coverings are checked. A final glance is given to every important item. Merchants learn to be careful. A missing bundle or damaged container can create many problems later. The vessel pushes away from shore. The trading post gradually shrinks behind them. The river widens ahead. Mist still lingers over portions of the water. The boat seems to glide through a world of soft gray light. The travelers speak quietly. There is no need for loud voices. The morning itself encourages calm. As the sun rises higher, the fog begins to disappear. The landscape slowly reveals itself. Forests stretch across the hills. Small streams enter the larger river. Occasional farmhouses stand near clearings. Each one represents a family. Each family follows its own routines, its own seasons, its own concerns. Near one farmhouse, a woman is already working. She carries water from a nearby well. The bucket feels heavy. Her hands are rough from years of labor. The work begins early every day. There are animals to feed, food to prepare, clothing to mend. The tasks seem endless. Yet they are familiar. Most people do not spend much time questioning these routines. Life has always required effort. The seasons demand it. The land demands it. The family depends upon it. Nearby, a child helps gather kindling. The sticks are stacked neatly beside the home. Winter may still be months away, but preparation never truly stops. Throughout the north, people constantly think ahead. The warm months are valuable. Every opportunity must be used wisely. The merchant watches the farmhouse disappear behind the trees. Soon another bend in the river arrives. Then another. The landscape changes slowly. Hours pass with gentle predictability. The sun climbs higher. The day grows warmer. Birds circle above open stretches of water. Fish occasionally break the surface before disappearing again. The travelers settle into familiar positions aboard the vessel. Some watch the shoreline. Others close their eyes briefly and enjoy the warmth of the sun. One sailor carefully repairs a leather strap. Another checks a wooden paddle for signs of wear. Small maintenance tasks fill many quiet hours. Keeping things in good condition prevents larger problems later. By midday, the boat approaches a larger settlement. This place is busier than the villages they passed earlier. More docks line the riverbank. More boats rest along the shore. The sounds of activity drift across the water long before the travelers arrive. Voices. Hammering. Animals. The distant creak of wagon wheels. The settlement serves as an important meeting point. Merchants from different regions often gather here. Goods arrive from many directions. Furs from northern forests. Iron from inland communities. Textiles from skilled weavers. Honey collected from rural farms. Every item has traveled a unique path. The boat reaches the dock. Workers immediately begin moving through the busy waterfront. Some unload cargo. Others prepare vessels for departure. Many carry heavy bundles balanced across their shoulders. The work is demanding. Sweat shines on their faces. Their clothing bears signs of constant labor. Yet there is skill in their movements. Experience has taught them how to lift, carry, and organize efficiently. The merchant steps ashore. The ground feels firm beneath his feet. Around him, daily life unfolds in dozens of small ways. A blacksmith works beside a glowing forge. A carpenter shapes wooden boards for a new structure. A fish seller arranges the morning catch. Children run errands between buildings. An elderly woman sits near a doorway spinning thread. No single activity dominates the settlement. Instead, countless small tasks combine to create the rhythm of daily life. The merchant carries samples of his goods toward the market area. The streets are narrow. Many buildings stand close together. Their timber walls show signs of years of weather and use. The smell of smoke drifts through the air. So does the scent of cooking food. Markets are not only places of trade. They are social spaces. People exchange information as often as goods. News moves quickly here. Someone discusses river conditions. Someone else mentions a recent harvest. A traveler describes weather farther north. These conversations help people prepare for future journeys. Knowledge can be as valuable as merchandise. The merchant spends much of the afternoon meeting with buyers. The discussions are patient. Careful. Both sides want a fair exchange. Trust matters greatly. A reputation built over many years can be worth more than a single profitable transaction. Eventually agreements are reached. Goods change hands. New cargo is acquired. Records may not always exist on paper, but memories remain sharp. Experienced merchants remember details remarkably well. Their livelihoods depend on it. As afternoon fades, the settlement begins preparing for evening. The intensity of work gradually softens. Some workshops close their doors. Others finish final tasks before resting. The sunlight becomes golden. Long shadows stretch across the streets. Near the waterfront, fishermen return from the river. Their boats sit lower in the water than they did that morning. The catch appears good today. Families gather nearby to help unload the fish. Children carry small baskets. Adults sort and clean the catch. The work continues together. Community life often depends upon cooperation. Many tasks become easier when shared. The merchant pauses near the dock and watches. The scene feels peaceful. Ordinary. Comforting. No great event is taking place. No famous moment is being recorded. Yet this is how most people spend most of their lives. Working. Helping. Preparing. Resting. Repeating the cycle day after day. As evening settles across the settlement, cooking fires appear throughout the town. The smell of food fills the air. Stew simmers in countless homes. Fresh bread cools on wooden racks. Fish roasts above glowing coals. Families gather together after long hours of labor. The merchant finds lodging for the night. The room is simple. A wooden bed. A blanket. A place to store belongings safely. Nothing more is required. Luxury is rare along the trade routes. Comfort often comes from simple things. A dry place to sleep. A warm meal. Protection from rain and cold. After supper, he steps outside one final time. The river lies beyond the buildings. Dark and calm beneath the evening sky. Several boats rest quietly at their docks. Lantern light reflects softly upon the water. The sounds of the settlement continue to fade. Conversations grow quieter. Doors close. Footsteps become less frequent. Night slowly takes hold. The merchant stands still for a moment. The cool air feels pleasant after the warmth of the day. Tomorrow another journey will begin. Another stretch of river. Another market. Another collection of ordinary moments that together form a life. For now, there is only the calm waterfront. Only the quiet movement of water. Only the distant glow of lanterns and hearth fires. And as darkness settles across forests, farms, villages, and trading towns, countless ordinary people along the Viking trade routes prepare for sleep, while the river continues its endless passage beneath the stars. The river flows quietly beneath the stars. Long after the last lantern has been extinguished and the final voices have faded into sleep, the water continues onward through the darkness. It slips past docks and fishing boats. It moves beneath wooden bridges. It curves around forested banks and carries moonlight across its surface. The settlement rests. The merchant sleeps within his small room. Beyond the walls, the night air has grown cool. A thin breeze drifts in from the river. It brushes against rooftops and moves gently through narrow streets. Most people never see these quiet hours. Their eyes remain closed. Their bodies recover from the labor of the day. Yet the night itself feels alive in a peaceful way. A cat moves silently across a fence. A horse shifts in its stable. Water taps softly against a dock post. Everything seems slower. Everything seems softer. The stars remain overhead for many hours. Then, little by little, morning begins its return. A pale glow appears along the eastern horizon. Darkness loosens. The outlines of buildings become visible. Mist rises from the river once more. It gathers in low places and drifts slowly above the water. The merchant wakes before sunrise. For a few moments he lies still beneath his blanket. The room remains quiet. Only distant sounds reach him. A rooster. A door opening somewhere nearby. The faint crackle of a newly lit fire. Another day has arrived. He rises and dresses. His clothing carries the scent of travel. Wool, wood smoke, river water, and many nights spent beside campfires have become familiar companions. Outside, the settlement is beginning to stir. A baker has already started work. Warm light shines through a small window. The smell of fresh bread drifts into the cool air. Nearby, a woman sweeps the area in front of her home. The simple sound of straw brushing against packed earth echoes gently through the morning stillness. The merchant walks toward the waterfront. The docks are busy even at this early hour. Fishermen prepare their boats. Workers move supplies from storage buildings. Merchants check cargo before departure. The river reflects the pale colors of dawn. Everything appears washed in soft silver light. One fisherman pauses beside his boat and studies the sky. Years of experience have taught him to notice small details. The shape of clouds. The direction of the wind. The feel of the air. These signs often reveal what kind of day lies ahead. Today appears favorable. The fisherman nods quietly to himself. Soon he pushes away from shore. His boat glides into the mist. The merchant watches him disappear. Then he turns his attention to his own journey. The vessel is ready. Fresh supplies have been loaded. Cargo has been secured. Several new travelers have joined the crew. They carry their own goods. Their own stories. Their own reasons for traveling. Some seek profit. Others seek opportunity. A few simply need to reach another settlement farther along the route. The river serves them all. The boat leaves the dock. Wood creaks softly. Water swirls behind the stern. The settlement gradually recedes into the distance. Ahead lies another long day of travel. The morning passes peacefully. The river widens in places and narrows in others. The landscape unfolds slowly. Forests stretch across rolling hills. Open meadows appear beside the water. Occasional farms break the pattern of trees. Smoke rises from distant homes. Everywhere, people are beginning their daily work. A farmer guides a plow through a field. Two children gather eggs near a small building. A woman hangs freshly washed clothing to dry in the sunlight. The merchant sees these scenes only briefly. The boat keeps moving. Yet each glimpse offers a reminder of how many lives are connected by these waterways. Not everyone travels. Most people remain close to home. But the trade routes still touch their lives. Salt arrives through trade. Iron tools arrive through trade. Cloth, pottery, and countless useful goods move from one region to another. The river quietly links them all. As the sun climbs higher, warmth spreads across the landscape. The mist disappears completely. The sky becomes a clear blue. Birds circle overhead. The travelers settle into the steady rhythm of movement. One man carves a small piece of wood while he sits. His knife moves carefully. Tiny curls fall into his lap. Another traveler repairs a tear in a wool cloak. Needle and thread move slowly through the fabric. Such tasks help pass the hours. Long journeys often contain more quiet time than people imagine. There are stretches when little happens. No market. No negotiations. No major decisions. Only travel. Only water. Only the gradual passage of time. By midday, the crew stops beside a grassy shoreline. The place is familiar to many travelers. A small spring provides fresh water nearby. Several large trees offer shade. The boats are pulled close to shore. Lunch is prepared. Bread is shared. Fish is eaten. Water is collected. The break allows everyone to stretch their legs. The merchant walks a short distance from the river. The ground feels firm beneath his boots. Wild flowers grow among patches of grass. Insects drift lazily through the warm air. The scene is simple. Peaceful. The kind of place that travelers remember years later. Not because anything remarkable happened there, but because it offered rest. Because it offered shade. Because it provided a moment of stillness during a long journey. After the meal, preparations begin once again. The crew returns to the boat. The river awaits. Afternoon arrives. The sunlight grows softer. The travelers continue downstream. Eventually they encounter another vessel moving in the opposite direction. The two boats pass one another slowly. Greetings are exchanged. Questions are asked. How are conditions ahead? Have there been storms farther north? Which markets are busiest this season? Such conversations are common. Information spreads naturally along the trade routes. No written message is required. Words travel with people. The boats continue on their separate paths. Soon the other vessel disappears around a bend. The river becomes quiet again. Hours pass. The merchant watches clouds drifting across the sky. The movement feels almost dreamlike. The steady rocking of the boat encourages reflection. He thinks about home. About future journeys. About cargo still to be sold. Yet there is no urgency in his thoughts. The rhythm of travel has a calming effect. The river teaches patience. It reminds travelers that some things cannot be hurried. The current moves at its own pace. The seasons arrive in their own time. A person learns to work with these realities rather than against them. Late in the afternoon, signs of another settlement begin to appear. A distant plume of smoke. A dock extending into the water. Several roofs visible through the trees. The travelers prepare to stop for the evening. The settlement is modest but welcoming. Children notice the arriving boat and run toward the shore. A dog barks excitedly. Several adults wave in greeting. The boat reaches the dock. Ropes are secured. The day's travel comes to an end. Nearby, local residents continue their evening routines. A woman kneads dough beside an open doorway. An elderly man repairs a basket. Two boys carry water from the river. Their movements are unhurried. The day is winding down. The merchant helps unload a few items. Trade will take place tomorrow. Tonight is for rest. As sunset approaches, the sky fills with gentle colors. Gold spreads across the western horizon. Orange reflects upon the river. The water seems to glow. People gather near cooking fires. The smell of supper drifts through the air. Fresh bread. Fish. Stew. Simple meals prepared with care. The merchant sits beside one of the fires. The warmth feels pleasant. Nearby, other travelers do the same. Their faces are tired but content. The day's work is finished. For now, there is nothing more to carry. Nothing more to negotiate. Nothing more to repair. Only rest. Only food. Only the quiet comfort of companionship after a long journey. Darkness gradually returns. Stars appear overhead. The river becomes a ribbon of shadow flowing through the landscape. One by one, conversations fade. People retire to their beds. The fires settle into glowing embers. The merchant wraps himself in a blanket and listens to the sounds of the night. Water moving gently against the shore. Leaves rustling in the breeze. The distant call of a bird somewhere in the darkness. The sounds feel familiar now. They have accompanied countless evenings along the trade routes. And as another peaceful night settles across rivers, forests, farms, and distant settlements, the travelers drift into sleep once more, while the ancient waterways continue their endless journey beneath the calm northern sky. The night settles gently over the riverside settlement. The cooking fires have nearly disappeared now. Only a few glowing embers remain beneath blankets of ash. Their faint red light flickers now and then before fading back into darkness. Above, the stars shine clearly. The sky seems vast beyond measure. The river reflects small pieces of that distant light as it moves through the sleeping landscape. The current never pauses. It continues through forests, past villages, beside farms, and onward toward places that many travelers will never see. The merchant sleeps soundly. Nearby, other travelers rest beneath wool blankets. The long journey has left their bodies heavy with fatigue. Hands that carried cargo now lie still. Feet that walked countless docks and riverbanks finally rest. The quiet rhythm of breathing fills the darkness. Hours pass. The moon slowly crosses the sky. A thin layer of mist begins to gather over the water once again. The world grows cool. Dew forms upon grass and wooden roofs. Everything seems wrapped in a soft blanket of silence. Then morning approaches. At first there is only a slight change in the darkness. A faint gray color appears along the horizon. The stars begin to fade. The river becomes visible once more. Shapes emerge from shadow. Trees. Boats. Buildings. The sleeping settlement slowly returns to view. A rooster announces the arrival of dawn. Soon another answers from farther away. Then another. The sounds spread across the landscape. Doors open. Footsteps appear. Smoke rises from chimneys. The day begins. Inside a small riverside home, a woman kneels beside a hearth. She adds wood to the fire. Tiny flames appear between the logs. Soon warmth fills the room. A clay pot is placed above the heat. Water begins to warm. The household is waking. Children stir beneath blankets. A dog stretches near the doorway. Outside, the air remains cool and fresh. The scent of damp earth drifts through the settlement. Nearby, a fisherman prepares for another day. His movements are familiar and practiced. He checks his nets. Examines the ropes. Makes sure everything is ready. Fishing is not dramatic work. Most days are filled with repetition. The same river. The same boat. The same routines. Yet experience matters. Years spent on the water teach lessons that cannot be learned quickly. The fisherman understands where fish gather. He notices changes in weather. He recognizes subtle differences in the river's movement. This knowledge feeds families. The merchant watches as the fisherman pushes away from shore. The small boat disappears into the pale morning mist. Then he turns toward his own tasks. Today will be spent trading. The cargo must be organized. Goods must be displayed. Conversations must be held. The work requires patience. Nothing happens quickly in the marketplace. After a simple breakfast, the merchant carries several bundles toward the center of the settlement. Other traders are doing the same. Soon a modest market begins to form. Tables appear. Cloth is unfolded. Tools are arranged neatly. Baskets filled with goods are set upon the ground. People arrive gradually. No one rushes. There is time. The day stretches ahead. An elderly farmer stops to examine a collection of iron tools. His hands show decades of labor. The skin is rough and weathered. His shoulders are slightly bent from years spent working fields. He studies each tool carefully. A strong tool can make difficult work easier. A poor one can create frustration for months. Eventually he selects what he needs. An agreement is reached. Both men seem satisfied. Nearby, a woman examines woven cloth. She runs her fingers across the fabric. The texture matters. The strength matters. Creating cloth requires tremendous effort. Spinning thread. Preparing fibers. Working at a loom for long hours. Every piece represents many days of labor. The merchant understands this. The buyer understands it too. Nothing here exists without work. As the morning continues, the market grows busier. Children follow their parents between stalls. Friends stop to exchange news. Travelers share stories from distant places. A settlement several days upstream has enjoyed a good harvest. Another community farther north experienced heavy rains. River conditions remain favorable. Such information travels naturally through conversation. Trade routes carry news just as effectively as they carry goods. The merchant listens while continuing his work. He has visited many settlements over the years. Faces become familiar. Names are remembered. Relationships develop slowly. Trust grows through repeated meetings. A fair merchant earns respect. People remember honesty. They remember reliability. These qualities are valuable along every trade route. The sun rises higher. Warmth spreads through the marketplace. The cool morning air slowly disappears. Shadows shorten. The sounds of activity fill the settlement. Hammering from a nearby workshop. Voices from the market. The occasional bark of a dog. The creak of wagon wheels moving over packed earth. Nothing feels hurried. The entire scene moves with a steady rhythm. Near the edge of the settlement, a carpenter works beneath a simple shelter. Wood shavings cover the ground around him. The scent of fresh timber fills the air. His hands move confidently. A plank is measured. Cut. Shaped. Smoothed. The process takes time. Every board must fit properly. Mistakes waste valuable materials. The carpenter has spent years learning his craft. Today he repairs part of a fishing boat damaged during the previous season. The owner waits nearby, watching, occasionally offering assistance. Together they work through the afternoon. Such cooperation is common. Many projects require more than one person. Community life depends upon shared effort. As midday arrives, the market pauses briefly. People begin thinking about food. The smells appear first. Fresh bread. Cooking fish. Stew warming above open fires. The scents drip through the settlement and mingle together. The merchant joins several travelers beneath a shaded area. They eat quietly. The meal is simple. Bread. Fish. Cheese. Water. Yet after a busy morning, it feels satisfying. The conversation remains relaxed. Topics drift from weather to river conditions to memories of previous journeys. One traveler recalls a winter so cold that portions of a river froze solid. Another remembers a season of unusually strong winds. Such stories pass the time. No one exaggerates. No one seeks attention. The stories simply emerge naturally. Part of the endless exchange of experiences that accompanies life on the trade routes. The afternoon unfolds slowly. Some visitors leave the market. Others arrive. Trade continues. The sun begins its gradual descent. Golden light appears across rooftops and riverbanks. The settlement feels calm. Productive. Comfortable. The merchant completes several more exchanges before finally packing away his remaining goods. The day's work has been successful. Not extraordinary. Simply successful. which is often enough. A steady living matters more than dramatic fortune. As evening approaches, many residents turn their attention toward home. Animals are fed. Tools are stored. Doors are repaired. Water is collected. Small tasks fill the final hours before nightfall. A woman gathers clothing from a line stretched between two posts. A young boy carries firewood toward his family's house. An older man closes the shutters of a workshop. The settlement slowly shifts from labor toward rest. The river reflects the changing colors of the sky. Gold becomes orange. Orange becomes deep blue. The water grows darker with every passing minute. The merchant walks toward the shore. He enjoys these quiet moments at the end of each day. The river always feels different in the evening. Calmer somehow. Softer. The noise of work fades away. The movement of the current becomes easier to hear. Nearby, several fishermen return with their catches. The day appears to have treated them well. Baskets hold shining fish. Families gather to help unload them. Laughter drifts briefly through the air, then settles into quieter conversation. The merchant watches for a while. The scene feels familiar. Across countless settlements, similar evenings unfold. Families gathering. Meals being prepared. Children growing sleepy. Workers feeling the pleasant exhaustion that follows a full day of effort. The details change. The pattern remains. Night arrives gradually. One by one, lights appear inside homes. Firelight glows through windows. Smoke rises gently into the darkening sky. The merchant returns to his lodging. A meal awaits. Warm stew. Fresh bread. A place beside the fire. Nothing luxurious. Nothing complicated. Only simple comfort. The kind that people have appreciated throughout history. After eating, he sits quietly for a while. The room is warm. The fire crackles softly. Outside, darkness spreads across the settlement. The sounds of activity become fewer and fewer. Soon only the river remains. Always moving. Always flowing. A steady companion through every season. The merchant finally lies down to sleep. His body feels heavy. His eyes close easily. Tomorrow another day will come. Another market. Another journey. Another collection of small moments that together form the story of life along the Viking trade routes. And outside, beneath the stars and drifting mist, the ancient river continues its endless passage through the sleeping northern world. The river glides through the darkness like a quiet ribbon of silver. Beyond the settlement, beyond the small homes and sleeping workshops, the water follows its ancient path beneath the stars. It moves past reeds that sway gently in the night breeze. It slips around bends hidden by forests. It carries reflections of the moon far into the distance. The world feels peaceful. Most people are asleep now. Inside wooden houses, families rest after long days of labor. Farmers sleep beneath heavy blankets. Fishermen recover from hours spent on the water. Craftsmen rest hands that shaped wood, iron, leather, and cloth throughout the day. The merchant sleeps as well. The warmth of the hearth has faded somewhat, but the room remains comfortable. Outside, the air has grown cooler. Dew gathers upon rooftops. Mist begins forming above the river once again. The night passes quietly. No great event disturbs the darkness. Only ordinary sounds drip through the hours. A distant owl. The rustle of leaves. The gentle movement of water against the shore. These are the sounds that have accompanied riverside communities for generations. Long before the merchant was born, people listened to these same sounds while drifting into sleep. Long after his own journeys are finished, others will listen to them as well. The river remains. The stars remain. The steady rhythm of daily life continues. Eventually, the first signs of dawn appear. A faint brightness touches the horizon. The darkness slowly begins to retreat. Shapes emerge from shadow. Trees become visible. Roofs take form. Boats resting along the shoreline appear one by one through the mist. The settlement awakens gradually. There is no sudden rush. No loud beginning. Morning arrives gently. A door opens somewhere nearby. Footsteps cross packed earth. A rooster calls. Smoke rises from a chimney. The merchant wakes and sits quietly for a few moments. He listens to the familiar sounds. Another day has arrived. Another day of travel and work. He rises from his bed and dresses. His clothing is worn but sturdy. Years of travel have taught him the importance of durability. Fine clothing may attract attention, but strong clothing survives the road. Outside, the cool morning air feels refreshing. The river is covered in a thin blanket of mist. The scene appears almost dreamlike. A fisherman stands at the edge of a dock. His boat waits silently beside him. He checks a rope. Adjusts a net. Then slowly pushes away from shore. The vessel disappears into the pale fog. Soon only the faint sound of oars remains. Nearby, a woman carries water from the river. The bucket feels heavy. She moves carefully along a familiar path. This is a task she has completed countless times before. Like many forms of labor, it rarely changes. The work returns every day. Water must be gathered. Food must be prepared. Homes must be maintained. The routine forms the structure of life. The merchant walks toward the marketplace. Most stalls remain empty for now. Only a few early workers have arrived. A baker is already busy. Warm bread cools upon wooden shelves. The smell drifts through the settlement. Fresh bread often becomes one of the first signs that morning has truly begun. People notice it immediately. Before long, others arrive. Tables are arranged. Goods are unpacked. Conversations begin. The market slowly comes to life. Today's trade will not be especially large. The settlement is modest. Still, there is work to do. A farmer examines a collection of small iron tools. A fisherman searches for new rope. A woman compares several pieces of cloth. The merchant greets each person politely. Many faces are unfamiliar. Some are not. Over the years, travelers often revisit the same settlements. Season after season. Year after year. Relationships grow through repetition. Trust develops through consistency. A merchant who returns regularly becomes part of the rhythm of a place. The morning passes peacefully. Sunlight gradually burns away the mist. The river becomes bright beneath the growing light. Birds move among nearby trees. The settlement fills with activity. Yet even during busy hours, there remains a sense of calm. Most people know exactly what needs to be done. Their routines guide them. There is comfort in that certainty. Near the edge of the marketplace, an elderly woman spins wool. Her hands move steadily. The spindle turns. Thread forms little by little. The process seems simple. Yet it requires skill. The thread must remain even. The tension must be controlled. The fibers must be prepared properly. Years of practice live within these small movements. The merchant pauses briefly to watch. Across the north, countless people spend their days performing tasks much like this. Quiet work. Patient work. Work that rarely appears in stories about kings or battles. Yet these tasks sustain entire communities. Without them, daily life would be impossible. As the sun climbs higher, warmth spreads across the settlement. Children play near the riverbank. A dog follows them hopefully. Laughter drifts through the air. Nearby, several craftsmen work outside their workshops. A cooper repairs a barrel. The wooden staves are carefully adjusted. Metal hoops are tightened. The barrel must remain watertight. Many goods depend upon containers like these. Fish. ale, honey, grain. Without sturdy barrels, trade becomes much more difficult. The cooper understands this well. His craft supports countless journeys he will never personally take. The merchant eventually completes his morning business. Several exchanges have been made. A few bundles are now lighter than before. Others have been replaced with different goods. Trade is a constant process of movement. Items leave. Items arrive. Cargo changes. The journey continues. By midday, the settlement settles into a slower pace. People pause for food. The smells of cooking drip through the streets. Stew simmers in iron pots. Fresh bread is sliced. Fish roasts over small fires. The merchant joins a group of travelers resting beneath a tree. Shade offers welcome relief from the sun. They eat quietly. The conversation comes and goes. No one feels the need to fill every moment with words. Silence is comfortable among experienced travelers. Many hours have been spent together on rivers and roads. The afternoon unfolds gently. Clouds drift overhead. The river sparkles beneath the sunlight. The merchant begins preparing for departure. Tomorrow's destination lies farther downstream. The boat must be ready. Supplies are counted carefully. Ropes are inspected. Cargo is secured. These tasks may seem repetitive, but repetition often prevents problems. Experienced travelers understand this. Small preparations can save great difficulty later. As evening approaches, the settlement grows quieter. The busiest hours are over. People begin returning home. Animals are brought into shelters. Tools are stored. Workshop doors close. The sunlight softens. Golden light spreads across rooftops and water. The river reflects the sky like polished metal. The merchant walks slowly along the shoreline. He watches several children skipping stones across the water. Each stone bounces once, twice, sometimes 3 times before disappearing beneath the surface. The children laugh, then run off toward home as the evening deepens. The river remains calm. A fisherman repairs a net beside his boat. His hands move automatically. Years of practice have transformed the task into habit. Nearby, an older man sits quietly upon a wooden bench. He watches the water. Perhaps he remembers journeys from his younger years. Perhaps he simply enjoys the evening air. The merchant cannot know. Yet the peaceful scene requires no explanation. Sometimes it is enough simply to sit beside the river and watch the day end. The sun slowly lowers beyond distant trees. Orange light spreads across the horizon. Shadows lengthen. The settlement prepares for another night. Cooking fires appear. Warm light glows through windows. Families gather inside their homes. The smell of supper fills the cool air. The merchant returns to his lodging. A simple meal awaits. Bread, fish, stew. The familiar comforts of travel. After eating, he sits beside the hearth. The fire crackles softly. Its warmth fills the room. Outside, darkness gradually settles over the river. The sounds of the settlement become fewer and fewer. One conversation ends. Then another. A final door closes. Silence returns. Soon only the water can be heard. Steady. Patient. Endless. The merchant stretches beneath his blanket. His eyes grow heavy. The long day has left him pleasantly tired. Tomorrow the journey will continue. Another stretch of river. Another collection of villages and markets. Another day shaped by ordinary work and quiet movement. And beyond the walls, beneath drifting mist and countless stars, the ancient trade routes rest peacefully as the river continues its endless journey through the sleeping northern world. The river moves through the night with calm determination. Its waters pass beneath moonlight and drifting mist. They flow beside sleeping settlements and quiet shorelines. The current follows pathways that have existed for longer than anyone can remember. Long before the merchants, the fishermen, and the farmers of today, the river was already here, moving patiently through the northern landscape. The settlement sleeps. The market is empty now. The workshops are dark. Only a few faint glows remain behind shuttered windows where embers still hold traces of warmth from the evening fires. The merchant lies asleep beneath his blanket. The day's labor has left his body pleasantly heavy. Outside, a gentle breeze stirs the leaves of nearby trees. The branches sway softly. Their shadows shift across the ground. Everything feels slow. Everything feels peaceful. Hours drift by. The moon gradually moves across the sky. Stars shine above forests, fields, rivers, and distant coastlines. Throughout the Viking world, countless ordinary people sleep beneath those same stars. Farmers rest after tending their fields. Fishermen recover from long hours on the water. Craftsmen rest sore hands and tired shoulders. Mothers sleep beside children. Travelers dream beside campfires. The night gathers all of them beneath the same quiet sky. Eventually, the darkness begins to fade. A thin line of pale light appears in the east. The stars slowly disappear. Mist rises once more from the river. The familiar cycle begins again. Morning. The first sounds are small. A bird calling from a nearby tree. A stable door opening. Footsteps crossing damp ground. Then more sounds follow. A rooster. A dog barking briefly. The crackle of a newly lit fire. The settlement awakens. The merchant opens his eyes. For a few moments, he remains still. The room is cool. The air carries the scent of wood smoke lingering from the previous evening. Soon he rises. Another day of travel awaits. Outside, dawn spreads across the river. Mist drifts above the water like a thin blanket. The surface remains calm. Small ripples catch the growing light. The scene feels almost unchanged from countless mornings before it. That consistency brings comfort. The river follows its path. The sun rises. People wake. Work begins. The pattern repeats itself through the seasons. The merchant walks toward the dock. His boat waits quietly beside the shore. The crew is already gathering. Some check ropes. Others organize supplies. Everyone understands the routine. There is little need for instruction. Experience guides their movements. Nearby, a young fisherman prepares for his own day. He is not much older than a boy. His hands are still learning tasks that older fishermen perform automatically. An older relative stands beside him. Together they examine the nets. The elder points toward a section needing repair. The younger fisherman listens carefully. Knowledge passes from one generation to another in moments like these. Not through books. Not through formal lessons. But through observation. Practice. Patience. The merchant watches briefly before turning back toward his vessel. The boat soon pushes away from shore. The settlement slowly recedes behind them. Ahead, the river stretches through another day of travel. Morning sunlight gradually removes the last traces of mist. The shoreline becomes clear. Forests line portions of the river. Elsewhere, open fields reach toward the water. The landscape unfolds at a gentle pace. No traveler can rush a river journey. The current decides much of the schedule. The weather decides the rest. By mid-morning, the boat passes several farms. Small homes stand among cultivated fields. Workers are already busy. One farmer walks behind a pair of animals pulling a simple plow. The work is steady and demanding. Furrows appear slowly behind him. Nearby, two children gather stones from the edge of a field. The task seems endless. Yet every stone removed makes future work easier. The merchant knows that farming requires patience. Every season asks for effort. Planting. Maintaining. Harvesting. Preparing for winter. The cycle never truly ends. The boat continues onward. Hours pass peacefully. The crew settles into familiar routines. One sailor repairs a worn piece of leather equipment. Another carefully sharpens a knife. The merchant checks cargo. Small tasks occupy the day. Even quiet journeys contain work. The river bends around a forested hillside. Tall trees rise above the water. Their reflections shimmer below. Birds move through the branches. Occasionally a deer appears at the shoreline before vanishing back into the woods. The northern landscape feels vast here. Wild. Yet never completely empty. People live throughout these regions. Small communities appear where conditions allow. Many remain connected by waterways like this one. Around midday, the travelers stop beside a riverside clearing. The place offers fresh water and shade. It has likely served travelers for many years. Perhaps generations. The boat is secured. Lunch preparations begin. The crew gathers beneath large trees. The shade feels welcome. Bread is shared. Dried fish is passed around. Water is collected from a nearby spring. The meal is simple but satisfying. After eating, some travelers rest quietly. Others stretch their legs. The merchant walks toward the edge of the clearing. Wild grasses sway gently in the breeze. Insects drift through patches of sunlight. The river continues flowing nearby. The peaceful scene invites reflection. Travel offers many such moments. Periods when there is nothing urgent to do. Nothing requiring immediate attention. Only time. Only movement. Only the steady passage of the day. Eventually the journey resumes. The boat returns to the river. Afternoon arrives. The sunlight becomes warmer. The shadows begin their slow lengthening. Ahead, another vessel appears. The two boats approach one another gradually. As they pass, greetings are exchanged. The conversation is brief. River conditions remain good. Weather farther downstream appears favorable. A few pieces of news are shared. Then the boats continue on their separate ways. Such encounters happen often. The waterways create a network of movement. People cross paths again and again. Faces become familiar. Names are remembered. The trade routes form a community spread across great distances. By late afternoon, signs of a larger settlement appear. Several docks extend into the river. More boats are visible. Smoke rises from numerous chimneys. The sounds of activity carry across the water. This settlement serves as an important stop for travelers. Goods from many regions pass through here. The merchant has visited before. The shoreline feels familiar. The shape of the docks. The location of storage buildings. The narrow streets leading away from the waterfront. Experience creates a sense of belonging even in places far from home. The boat reaches shore. Workers move efficiently. Cargo is unloaded. Questions are asked. Greetings exchanged. The rhythm of trade begins once more. Nearby, a cooper works outside his workshop. Several barrels stand beside him. Some are new. Others require repair. The cooper's hands move with confidence. Every piece must fit precisely. A poorly made barrel can ruin valuable cargo. His work may seem ordinary, yet merchants depend upon it. Trade often relies upon countless small skills performed well. The merchant spends the remainder of the afternoon arranging goods and discussing future exchanges. The work proceeds calmly. No one rushes. The settlement has seen generations of merchants arrive and depart. There is no need for haste. The river will still be there tomorrow. As evening approaches, the activity gradually slows. The waterfront grows quieter. Workers finish their final tasks. Tools are stored. Boats are secured. The day's labor begins to fade into memory. Golden light spreads across the river. The water glows softly beneath the setting sun. Families gather for evening meals. Children return home. Smoke rises from cooking fires. The smells of bread, fish, and stew drip through the settlement. The merchant finds lodging for the night. His room is small but comfortable. After supper, he steps outside briefly. The evening air feels cool and pleasant. The river reflects the last colors of sunset. Nearby, a fisherman sits alone repairing a net. A woman closes the shutters of her home. A dog wanders slowly through the quiet street. Nothing remarkable happens. Yet the simplicity itself feels meaningful. Most lives are built from moments like these. Small tasks. Familiar faces. Daily routines repeated through the years. Darkness gradually settles across the settlement. Lanterns appear here and there. Their reflections shimmer upon the water. The merchant returns inside. The fire burns softly. Its warmth fills the room. His eyes grow heavy. Another day has passed along the trade routes. Another collection of ordinary moments has quietly joined the countless days that came before. Outside, the river continues its endless journey through the northern world, flowing beneath moonlight and stars while the settlement slowly drifts into sleep once more. The settlement grows still beneath the night sky. One by one, the lanterns fade from the windows facing the river. The last conversations end. Footsteps disappear from the docks. Even the dogs that wandered the streets during the evening have found warm places to sleep. Only the river remains awake. It moves quietly through the darkness, carrying reflections of stars across its surface. Small waves touch the wooden pilings of the docks with a gentle rhythm. The sound is soft enough to blend with the night itself. The merchant sleeps deeply. His room is simple. A wooden bed. A wool blanket. A small chest holding a few personal belongings. The fire has burned low, but traces of warmth still linger in the room. Outside, the air grows colder. Mist begins gathering over the water. It forms slowly, spreading across the river like a pale blanket. The moon shines through it. Everything appears softened. The edges of buildings blur. Boats seem to float within a dream. The hours pass quietly. Across the settlement, families rest after another day of labor. In one house, a fisherman sleeps while tomorrow's nets hang drying nearby. In another, a carpenter rests sore shoulders after hours spent shaping timber. Elsewhere, a mother sleeps while her children dream beside the fading warmth of a hearth. None of them think much about history. Most people never do. They think about tomorrow's work. The weather. Food supplies. Repairs that need attention. The ordinary concerns of daily life. Yet these ordinary lives form the true foundation of every age. The night continues. The stars slowly shift overhead. Then, far away in the east, a faint brightness appears. Morning approaches once again. The darkness begins its gradual retreat. Mist lingers above the river. The water seems almost silver beneath the growing light. A bird calls from somewhere near the shoreline. Then another answers. Soon more sounds follow. A door opens. A bucket is lifted. A rooster announces the new day. The settlement awakens. The merchant rises early. He sits for a moment and listens. Every town has its own sounds, yet mornings often feel surprisingly similar. The crackle of fires being lit. The movement of people beginning their routines. The distant sounds of animals. The smell of wood smoke drifting through cool air. These things connect countless communities across the Viking world. After dressing, the merchant steps outside. The dawn is beautiful in its simplicity. Mist drifts slowly above the river. The docks remain quiet. A few fishermen have already begun preparing their boats. One older fisherman stands motionless for a moment, studying the water. Years spent beside rivers have taught him patience. He understands that not every task requires haste. Sometimes it is enough to observe, to notice, to wait. Nearby, two brothers carry baskets toward the waterfront. Their family operates a small fishing business. The baskets will soon hold the morning catch. For now, they are empty. The boys walk carefully across damp wooden planks. The merchant watches them disappear into the mist. Then he turns toward the marketplace. Today's work will begin soon. Several traders are already arranging their goods. A woman unfolds woven cloth. A craftsman displays wooden bowls and tools. Another merchant organizes sacks filled with grain. The marketplace awakens slowly. People arrive in small groups. Friends greet one another. News is exchanged. Questions are asked. How was the river upstream? Were there storms near the coast? Have the fish been plentiful this season? Such conversations drip naturally through the morning air. The merchant joins them. Information matters. Along the trade routes, knowledge can be nearly as valuable as cargo. Good weather can speed a journey. Poor conditions can delay it. A flooded river can change plans entirely. Travelers learn to pay attention. The market grows busier. The sun rises higher. The mist gradually disappears. Warmth spreads through the settlement. Children run between stalls. A dog follows them hopefully. Some merchants laugh quietly. Others focus carefully on business. The atmosphere remains calm. There is activity, but little urgency. Most people know that trade requires patience. Good agreements often take time. Near the center of the market, a blacksmith has brought several newly completed tools. The iron catches sunlight as people gather around to inspect his work. His hands bear the marks of years spent beside a forge. Small scars. Rough skin. Strong fingers. The work is demanding. Heat. Smoke. Long hours. Yet skilled blacksmiths are respected. Entire communities depend upon their labor. The merchant examines several tools himself. Good tools always find buyers. Farmers need them. Builders need them. Fishermen need them. Simple objects often have long journeys ahead of them. A tool forged here may eventually reach a settlement far away. Perhaps it will be used for years. Perhaps it will pass from parent to child. The merchant likes thinking about such things. Trade connects people who never meet. A farmer may use a tool made by someone whose name he never learns. A family may eat from bowls carved by craftsmen living many rivers away. Invisible threads connect their lives. By midday, the marketplace settles into a steady rhythm. The busiest morning hours have passed. People begin thinking about food. The smell arrives before the meals themselves. Fresh bread. Cooking fish. Stew simmering slowly. The scents drip through the warm air. The merchant purchases a simple lunch. Bread still warm from the oven. A piece of smoked fish. Fresh water. He finds a shaded place near the river and sits quietly. Nearby, boats arrive and depart. Cargo is loaded. Cargo is unloaded. The movement never truly stops. Even during peaceful moments, the trade routes remain active. A small boat glides toward the dock carrying several barrels. The crew works carefully. Barrels are heavy. A careless mistake can damage valuable goods. The men move slowly and deliberately. Years of practice have taught them efficiency. Watching them work feels almost calming. Every movement serves a purpose. Every action follows a familiar pattern. The afternoon drifts forward. Clouds move lazily across the sky. The river sparkles beneath the sunlight. The merchant completes a few final exchanges. Several bundles change hands. New arrangements are made for future journeys. Nothing dramatic occurs. Most trade does not involve dramatic moments. It involves conversation. trust, patience, reputation. The qualities that grow slowly over time. As the day begins to cool, activity gradually decreases. The sun lowers toward the western horizon. Long shadows stretch across the settlement. The marketplace begins to empty. Merchants pack their goods. Residents return home. Children help carry supplies. Animals are fed for the evening. The familiar transition from work to rest begins once more. The merchant walks along the waterfront. The river looks different now. Softer. The bright reflections of midday have become warm gold and orange. Several fishing boats return with their catches. Families gather near the docks. Fish are sorted into baskets. Nets are unloaded. Voices carry gently across the water. Nearby, an elderly fisherman repairs a damaged float attached to one of his nets. His hands move slowly now. Age has reduced his speed but not his skill. The merchant pauses to watch. The old man works without hurry. The repair will be finished when it is finished. There is wisdom in that pace. The sun continues sinking. The sky deepens into shades of amber and rose. The river reflects every color. For a brief time, the entire landscape seems painted with light. Then darkness begins its slow return. Cooking fires appear throughout the settlement. Smoke rises into the evening air. The smell of supper drifts through the streets. Bread baking. Fish roasting. Stew warming beside hearths. Families gather together. Doors close against the cool night. The merchant returns to his lodging. The day has been productive. His body feels pleasantly tired. After a simple meal, he sits quietly beside the fire. The flames dance gently. The room feels warm and safe. Outside, the settlement gradually grows silent. The river continues flowing beyond the darkness. Steady. Patient. Unchanging. The merchant eventually lies down and closes his eyes. Tomorrow will bring another day. Another market. Another journey. Another collection of ordinary moments carried along the waterways of the north. And outside, beneath the first stars of evening, the ancient river continues its endless passage through forests, villages, and sleeping settlements, moving softly through the calm northern night. The river carries the night forward. Beyond the settlement, beyond the docks and workshops and quiet homes, the water continues along its ancient course. It slips between dark riverbanks and beneath overhanging branches. The current follows the same path it followed yesterday, and the same path it will follow tomorrow. The merchant sleeps. The fire beside which he sat earlier has nearly gone out. Only a few glowing embers remain hidden beneath gray ash. Their warmth slowly fades into the cool air of the room. Outside, the settlement rests. The marketplace stands empty beneath the stars. The docks are still. The boats rise and fall gently with the movement of the water. A light mist gathers above the river once more. It forms quietly. Patiently. The night seems to welcome it. Hours pass. The moon drifts across the sky. The sounds of the settlement become fewer and fewer until only the river can be heard. Its voice is soft. A gentle murmur against wooden pilings. A faint splash near the shoreline. The quiet movement of water through darkness. Far upstream, other settlements sleep. Far downstream, other fires burn low. The trade routes connect them all. Not through grand monuments or famous roads, but through rivers. Through harbors. Through ordinary journeys repeated season after season. Across the north, thousands of people rest while tomorrow slowly approaches. A fisherman sleeps beside folded nets. A farmer rests after a day in the fields. A cooper sleeps after repairing barrels. A weaver dreams beside a loom that will await her in the morning. The river touches all their lives in some way. Even those who rarely see distant places depend upon the movement of goods and people. The night continues. The stars slowly fade. A pale line appears in the east. Morning begins again. The darkness retreats little by little. Mist drifts low across the water. The first bird calls from a nearby tree. Another answers. The world wakes gently. A stable door creaks open. Footsteps cross damp ground. Smoke rises from the first chimney. The merchant opens his eyes. For a moment he listens to the familiar sounds. Morning always arrives in its own quiet way. Never hurried. Never dramatic. Simply steady and reliable. He rises and prepares for the day. Outside, the river appears almost silver beneath the dawn sky. The mist softens everything. Boats seem to float through clouds. The shoreline appears distant and dreamlike. The merchant walks toward the waterfront. Several fishermen are already at work. One man kneels beside a net spread across the dock. A small tear has appeared. His fingers move carefully through the repair. The task requires attention but not urgency. A well-repaired net may last for years. A neglected one may fail at an important moment. Nearby, another fisherman organizes wooden floats and stone weights. Everything has its place. Everything serves a purpose. The merchant enjoys watching these routines. They remind him that most work throughout history follows a simple pattern. Preparation. Effort. Maintenance. Rest. Then the cycle begins again. As the morning grows brighter, the settlement slowly fills with movement. Women carry water from the river. Children help with chores. Workers open the doors of their workshops. The smell of fresh bread drifts through the air. The baker has been awake for hours already. Inside his warm workshop, loaves cool upon wooden shelves. The scent reaches nearly every corner of the settlement. People notice. They always do. Fresh bread has a way of announcing the start of a new day. The merchant purchases a loaf and breaks off a piece while walking. The bread is warm. Simple. Comforting. The marketplace begins forming once more. Tables appear. Goods are unpacked. Conversations begin. The river continues flowing beside it all. Throughout the morning, merchants arrive from different directions. Some have traveled along the river. Others have come by road from nearby farms and villages. Each carries something different. Bundles of wool. Iron tools. Wooden bowls. Honey. Furs. Leather goods. The variety is not endless, but it is enough. The trade routes thrive because every region produces something useful. The merchant greets several familiar faces. Some he has known for years. They have crossed paths many times in many different settlements. Friendships often grow this way among travelers. Not through long periods together, but through repeated meetings scattered across seasons and distances. A familiar face becomes a welcome sight. The morning passes peacefully. Business moves at a comfortable pace. No one rushes. There is time to talk. Time to inspect goods. Time to consider decisions carefully. Patience remains one of the most valuable skills a merchant can possess. Near the edge of the marketplace, a young apprentice helps an older craftsman arrange wooden tools. The apprentice watches closely. Every action becomes a lesson. How to display goods. How to speak with customers. How to judge quality. These small pieces of knowledge accumulate over years. Most skills in the Viking world are learned this way. Observation. Practice. Repetition. A person becomes skilled not through sudden insight, but through thousands of ordinary days. The merchant understands this well. His own knowledge was built gradually. One journey at a time. One market at a time. One mistake and one success after another. By midday, sunlight fills the settlement. The mist has vanished completely. The river sparkles beneath the clear sky. Fishing boats move steadily across the water. Their crews work patiently. Some cast nets, Others check traps. The river provides food for countless families. It asks for labor in return. The merchant finds a shaded spot near the waterfront and pauses for lunch. Around him, life continues. A fisherman unloads part of his catch. Children carry baskets. A carpenter transports several newly cut boards. Two women discuss the quality of cloth displayed nearby. None of these moments seem important by themselves. Yet together they form the texture of daily life. This is what most people remember. Not great events. Not famous names. But ordinary days. The smell of bread. The sound of water. The feeling of tired muscles after work. The warmth of a fire at evening. The afternoon drifts forward. Clouds appear overhead. Not storm clouds. Only soft white shapes moving slowly across the sky. Their shadows pass over the river and fields. The settlement settles into a quieter rhythm. The busiest hours are over. Trade continues, but at a slower pace. The merchant spends time organizing cargo for the next stage of his journey. Every item must be packed carefully. Water can damage certain goods. Rough handling can damage others. Experience teaches caution. A careful merchant protects not only his cargo, but also the labor of everyone who helped create it. The weaver. The fisherman. The blacksmith. The farmer. Each item represents someone's effort. As the day begins to cool, the merchant walks beyond the edge of the settlement. A narrow path follows the riverbank. Grass sways in the breeze. Birds move among the reeds. The water reflects the afternoon light. For a while he simply walks. No destination. No purpose beyond enjoying the quiet. Travel can be tiring, but it also offers moments like this. Moments when the world seems unhurried. Moments when there is nothing to do except observe. He watches the river. The same river that carried traders yesterday. The same river that will carry traders tomorrow. Generations pass. The river remains. Its steady presence comforts those who depend upon it. Eventually the merchant returns. The sun is beginning its descent. Golden light spreads across the settlement. The familiar evening transformation begins. Workshops close. Tools are stored. Boats are secured for the night. Cooking fires appear. The smell of supper drifts through the air. Families gather indoors. The pace of life softens. The merchant shares a meal with several fellow travelers. The conversation remains quiet. They discuss river conditions. Possible destinations. The weather. Simple topics for a simple evening. Afterward, he steps outside. The sky glows with the last light of day. Orange reflections shimmer across the water. A fisherman rows slowly toward shore. Birds settle into trees for the night. The settlement grows calm. The merchant stands beside the river for a few moments longer. The air feels cool. The water moves steadily past. Darkness approaches. Another day is ending along the trade routes of the north. And as the first stars appear above the river, the ancient waterways continue their endless journey through forests, fields, and sleeping settlements, carrying the quiet rhythm of ordinary life into the peaceful night. The first stars shine above the river. Their reflections tremble gently upon the moving water, breaking apart and reforming as the current carries them downstream. The settlement has nearly fallen silent. The last traces of daylight have disappeared beyond the western horizon, leaving only the soft glow of hearth fires behind wooden walls. The merchant remains outside for a few moments. The cool evening air feels pleasant after a long day. Nearby, a fishing boat rocks gently beside the dock. Its ropes creak softly. The sound blends with the steady voice of the river. Nothing seems hurried here. The day has completed its work. The night asks for nothing more than rest. Eventually, the merchant returns to his lodging. The room is warm. The fire burns quietly within the hearth. Its orange light flickers across the wooden walls. For a time he simply sits and watches the flames. Many people throughout history have done the same. After long days of labor, there is comfort in a fire. Its warmth eases tired muscles. Its light softens the darkness. Its gentle crackling creates a feeling of safety. Outside, the night deepens. The settlement settles fully into sleep. Families gather beneath blankets. Children drift into dreams. Workers recover from the efforts of the day. The merchant soon does the same. His eyes grow heavy. The fire becomes a blur of warm light. Then sleep arrives. The river continues moving. Hours pass unnoticed. The moon rises higher. Mist begins forming above the water. The world grows quiet enough that even small sounds seem important. A branch shifting in the breeze. The distant call of a night bird. The soft splash of water against a dock. The northern landscape rests beneath the stars. Far from this settlement, other travelers sleep beside campfires. Some rest aboard boats pulled safely onto riverbanks. Others sleep within villages hidden among forests. The trade routes stretch across great distances, connecting countless lives. Yet during the night, all those journeys pause. The rivers continue. The people rest. Slowly, morning begins its return. A pale light appears beyond the eastern hills. The darkness softens. The stars fade one by one. Mist rises once again from the water. It drifts across the river and settles among the reeds near the shore. The merchant wakes. For a few moments he listens to the sounds of dawn. The settlement is only beginning to stir. A rooster calls. A stable door opens. Somewhere nearby, someone adds wood to a fire. The smell of smoke enters the cool morning air. Another day begins. Outside, the river looks almost white beneath the mist. The water and sky seem to blend together. The shoreline appears distant and soft. Boats emerge gradually as the light grows stronger. The merchant walks toward the docks. His journey will continue today. The boat is already being prepared. Crew members move quietly through familiar routines. Supplies are checked. Cargo is secured. Ropes are examined carefully. No one rushes. They have done these things many times before. Experience brings confidence. Nearby, a fisherman returns from checking traps placed overnight. His boat carries only a modest catch. Still, he seems satisfied. Many people living along the rivers understand that success often comes in small amounts. A good catch. A repaired tool. A successful trade. A healthy harvest. Life is built from such things. The merchant helps finish preparations. Soon the vessel pushes away from the dock. The settlement begins to shrink behind them. Smoke rises from chimneys. Morning light touches rooftops. The sounds of daily life fade into the distance. Ahead lies another stretch of river. The current carries them gently onward. The morning is calm. A thin layer of mist remains over portions of the water. The sun slowly climbs higher. Birds move above the riverbanks. The shoreline passes at an unhurried pace. The travelers settle into the rhythm of movement once again. Hours pass. The river curves through forests and open fields. Occasionally small farms appear. Their buildings stand near the water, surrounded by patches of cultivated land. Workers are already busy. A farmer guides animals through a field. A woman gathers vegetables from a garden. Children carry buckets between buildings. The merchant watches these scenes as they drift past. Most last only a few moments. Then another bend in the river arrives. Another stretch of shoreline. Another glimpse into someone else's ordinary day. The trade routes are filled with such moments. Brief windows into lives that continue long after the boat has passed. By late morning, the travelers reach a narrow section of river bordered by tall forests. The trees grow close to the water here. Their branches lean overhead. Reflections shimmer beneath them. The air feels cooler within the shade. The scene is peaceful. The only sounds are birds, water, and the occasional creak of the boat. One sailor sits quietly while repairing a section of rope. His hands move steadily. The work requires attention but little thought. Many tasks become this way after years of practice. The body remembers what to do. The mind is free to wander. Perhaps he thinks of home. Perhaps he thinks of future journeys. Or perhaps he simply enjoys the quiet. The merchant does much the same. He watches sunlight flickering through leaves. He listens to the water. The hours drift by gently. At midday, the boat stops beside a grassy riverbank. The crew has rested here before. Travelers often return to the same places. Certain stretches of shoreline provide good water, shelter from wind, and comfortable places to pause. Lunch is prepared. Bread is shared. Fish is eaten. Water is collected from a nearby stream. The meal is simple. It always is. Yet after a morning on the river, it feels satisfying. Some travelers stretch their legs. Others lie beneath trees and close their eyes for a short while. The merchant walks along the edge of the water. Small waves lap against the shore. Insects hover above patches of grass. A dragonfly flashes blue and green in the sunlight before disappearing among the reeds. Everything feels still. The world seems content to move slowly. Eventually, the journey resumes. The boat returns to the river. Afternoon sunlight spreads across the landscape. The warmth of the day reaches its peak. The crew settles into familiar positions. Conversation comes and goes. Sometimes there are stories. Sometimes there is silence. Both are welcome. The river widens. The current becomes gentler. Ahead, another vessel appears. Its sail catches the sunlight. The two boats approach gradually. As they pass, greetings are exchanged. A few pieces of news travel between them. Nothing urgent. Only the ordinary information that helps travelers understand conditions farther along the route. Then the boats continue. Each follows its own path. By late afternoon, signs of a small riverside settlement appear ahead. A few docks. Several homes. Smoke rising into the sky. Children playing near the water. The travelers decide to stop there for the night. The settlement welcomes visitors. Many communities along the trade routes depend partly upon travelers. Merchants bring goods. Travelers bring news. Visitors bring opportunities for exchange. The boat reaches shore. Ropes are secured. The day's journey ends. The merchant steps onto solid ground. His legs feel slightly stiff after hours aboard the vessel. The sensation is familiar. Nearby, local residents continue their evening routines. A woman hangs laundry near her home. A fisherman cleans his catch beside the river. An elderly man repairs a wooden fence. The work of daily life continues all around them. As the sun begins to set, warm golden light spreads across the settlement. The river reflects the colors of the sky. Cooking fires appear. The smell of supper drifts through the evening air. Families gather indoors. Children grow sleepy. The merchant sits near the water and watches the last light fade from the river. Another day has passed. Another collection of ordinary moments has quietly become part of the endless story of life along the Viking trade routes. And as darkness settles once more across forests, fields, villages, and waterways, the river continues its ancient journey beneath the stars, carrying its calm and steady rhythm into the peaceful northern night. The evening settles softly over the small riverside settlement. The last colors of sunset linger for a while above the western horizon. Faint shades of gold and rose reflect across the water before slowly fading into deeper blue. The river accepts the darkness without resistance, carrying the final traces of daylight downstream. Along the shore, cooking fires glow warmly. Smoke rises in thin, twisting lines. The smell of supper drifts through the cool evening air. Fresh bread. Fish roasting over coals. A pot of stew simmering beside a hearth. Simple meals prepared after long hours of work. The merchant sits quietly near the water. The day's travel has left him pleasantly tired. Around him, other travelers enjoy the same brief period of rest between labor and sleep. A fisherman mends part of a net while speaking softly with a neighbor. A woman carries a basket back toward her home. Several children play one final game before being called indoors. The settlement feels comfortable. Not wealthy. Not grand. Simply lived in. The wooden buildings show signs of years of weather. The docks have been repaired many times. Paths through the settlement have been shaped by countless footsteps. Everything carries evidence of ordinary life. As darkness deepens, one by one the families retreat indoors. Doors close. Shutters are secured. Voices become quieter. The merchant eventually rises and walks toward the house where he has been offered lodging. Inside, a fire burns steadily. The room is modest. Wooden walls. A simple table. A bench worn smooth by years of use. The warmth feels welcome. After sharing a meal, the travelers speak for a short while. Their conversation moves gently from one topic to another. Weather. River levels. Fishing conditions. News from settlements farther away. Nothing urgent. Nothing dramatic. Only the small pieces of information that move naturally along the trade routes. Eventually, silence becomes more appealing than conversation. The day has been long. Sleep arrives easily. The merchant settles beneath his blanket. The fire crackles softly. Its light flickers across the room. Outside, the river continues flowing through the darkness. Hours pass. The settlement sleeps. The docks stand empty beneath the stars. Mist begins forming above the water. The moon rises and casts a pale reflection across the current. Everything feels calm. Throughout the north, countless similar settlements rest beneath the same night sky. Families sleep beside hearths. Travelers rest after long journeys. Workers recover from another day of labor. The trade routes themselves seem to sleep. Boats remain tied to docks. Cargo remains stacked inside storage buildings. The movement of goods pauses until morning. Only the rivers continue their endless travel. Slowly, dawn approaches. A faint gray light appears beyond the eastern horizon. The stars begin to fade. Mist thickens above the water. The world becomes quiet in a different way. Not the silence of night. The silence that comes just before waking. The merchant opens his eyes. For a few moments he remains still. The room is cool. The fire has faded to ash. Outside, the first sounds of morning begin. A rooster calls. Footsteps cross damp ground. Someone draws water from a well. The settlement awakens. The merchant rises and steps outside. The morning air feels fresh. Mist covers much of the river. Boats appear as dark shapes floating within pale clouds. The shoreline seems distant and soft. Nearby, a fisherman prepares for another day. His movements are careful and familiar. He checks his nets. Examines a rope. Adjusts a wooden float. These small tasks have become habits through years of repetition. The merchant watches for a moment. Then he walks toward the dock. The crew is already gathering. The boat must continue its journey. Trade routes reward consistency. Each day of good weather is valuable. Cargo waits farther downstream. Markets wait. Customers wait. Preparations begin immediately. Supplies are loaded. Ropes are checked. The vessel is inspected. No one wastes motion. Every task has been performed many times before. Experience shapes efficiency. Soon the boat leaves the settlement behind. The docks shrink into the distance. Smoke rises from morning fires. Children appear near the shoreline. Then the river bends, and the settlement disappears from view. Ahead lies another stretch of water. The morning remains cool. Mist lingers across portions of the river. The boat glides through it quietly. The world seems peaceful and half awake. Birds move among the reeds. The occasional fish breaks the surface. Small ripples spread outward before fading again. The merchant sits near the center of the vessel. There is little to do at the moment. The cargo is secure. The weather is favorable. The river carries them steadily onward. These quiet hours are common during travel. Much of life along the trade routes consists of waiting. Waiting for weather. Waiting for customers. Waiting for cargo. Waiting for rivers to carry boats from one place to another. Patience becomes an essential skill. The travelers understand this. No one seems restless. The steady movement of the boat creates its own rhythm. The shoreline drifts past. Trees. Fields. Occasional farms. Everything unfolds slowly. By mid-morning, the mist has disappeared. Sunlight fills the landscape. The river sparkles. The day grows warmer. Along one stretch of shoreline, several farmers work together in a field. The merchant watches them from the boat. Their labor appears demanding. The soil must be prepared. The crops must be maintained. Every season requires effort. The work never truly ends. Yet there is a certain peace in such routines. The same tasks return year after year. People learn their rhythms. They know what must be done. Nearby, a woman hangs clothing to dry. Children chase one another through the grass. A dog follows behind them. For a few moments, the boat passes close enough to hear their laughter. Then distance carries the sound away. The river continues. By midday, the travelers stop near a wooded riverbank. Large trees provide shade. A small stream enters the river nearby. The place offers a comfortable location for a short rest. The boat is secured. Lunch is prepared. Bread. Fish. Water. Simple food that has accompanied many journeys. The merchant sits beneath a tree and eats slowly. The shade feels pleasant. The air smells of grass and warm earth. Around him, the crew relaxes. Some speak quietly. Others simply enjoy the chance to rest. A few close their eyes for a short while. The peaceful atmosphere encourages stillness. The river moves nearby. Steady. Unhurried. Its sound blends with the rustling leaves overhead. After lunch, the travelers return to the boat. The journey resumes. Afternoon sunlight spreads across the water. Clouds drift lazily through the sky. The landscape changes gradually. The river widens. The forests become less dense. More settlements appear along the banks. Some are little more than clusters of homes. Others are larger trading communities. Each contributes something to the network of exchange that stretches across the north. Late in the afternoon, the boat approaches one such settlement. Several docks extend into the water. Storage buildings stand near the shore. Workers move cargo between boats and warehouses. The place feels busy but not crowded. The activity follows a steady rhythm. The merchant recognizes the settlement. He has visited before. Familiar landmarks appear. A large storage building. A blacksmith's workshop near the waterfront. A row of houses facing the river. Experience creates a sense of comfort. Even distant places become familiar after enough visits. The boat reaches shore. Ropes are secured. Cargo remains covered for now. The day's travel has ended. Nearby, workers finish their final tasks before evening. A cooper rolls a barrel toward a storage building. A fisherman repairs part of a net. A woman carries bread home from the bakery. The settlement slowly transitions from labor toward rest. Golden light spreads across rooftops. The river reflects the sky. The merchant stands quietly on the dock and watches. There is something calming about arriving at the end of a day's journey. The boat is safe. The work is complete. Tomorrow can wait until tomorrow. As the sun lowers beyond the horizon, the evening begins once more. Cooking fires appear. Smoke rises. The smell of supper drifts through the cooling air. Families gather indoors. Workers return home. Children grow sleepy. The merchant follows the familiar routine. A meal. A warm fire. A place to rest. And outside, beneath the deepening twilight, the ancient river continues flowing through the northern landscape, carrying reflections of the first evening stars as another peaceful night settles over the Viking trade routes. The night settles gently over the river. The final cooking fires have grown quiet now. Their warmth lingers within homes where families sleep beneath wool blankets and the soft glow of fading embers. Outside, the docks rest in silence. Boats rock almost imperceptibly beside weathered wooden posts. The water moves slowly past them, carrying moonlight downstream. The merchant sleeps. The fishermen sleep. The farmers sleep. The craftsmen sleep. The children sleep. Across rivers, forests, coastlines, and distant settlements, ordinary lives rest beneath the same wide sky. The trade routes remain, but for now they are quiet. No cargo is being lifted. No bargains are being discussed. No sails are being raised. The day's labor has ended. The river alone continues its endless journey. Moonlight drifts across its surface. Mist gathers above the water. The stars shine softly overhead. Somewhere far away, an owl calls once before the silence returns. The northern world feels calm. Peaceful. Unhurried. The countless people who traveled these waterways have long since passed into history. Their names are mostly forgotten. Their journeys are finished. Yet traces of their lives remain. In the rivers they followed. In the harbors they built. In the paths worn smooth by generations of footsteps. And perhaps most of all, in the simple routines that shaped their days. The bread baked before sunrise. The nets repaired beside the water. The cargo carefully loaded onto waiting boats. The warm meals shared after long hours of work. The quiet comfort of returning home at the end of the day. These small moments filled most of their lives. And as the centuries passed, they flowed together like the rivers themselves. Steady. Gentle. Endless. Now the night grows deeper. The stars shine a little brighter above the dark water. The river carries their reflections far into the distance. The forests stand silent. The settlements sleep. The wind softens among the trees. Everything seems to slow. Everything seems to rest. And there beside the ancient river, beneath a sky full of quiet stars, the old trade routes fade into darkness. The boats become shadows. The docks disappear into the mist. The sounds of the world grow distant. Only the gentle movement of water remains. Soft. Steady. Calm. The river flows on through the night. And the night flows on with it. Until there is only stillness. Only moonlight. Only the quiet northern sky. And sleep.